do you want to introduce this episode? It's a new year, new Doug.
Welcome to the Cinnamon.
That's what I've been waiting to hear right there.
Well, I get a little extra bass right now. I think I sound a little wonky because I got sick.
Yeah.
During the break.
Those colds will get you.
Yeah, I know. And it tried to. It tried really hard. Tried to knock me right the hell. It actually gave me a 3-medication migraine.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's some intense stuff where like the serious drugs that I'm prescribed does nothing. Yeah, that was fun. But, it makes me sound a little different, so...
Makes you sound sexy, though.
Ooh.
What's
going on?
This is the 11th episode of The Cinnamon. And I tell you, one reason you had that migraine, sir, is because that primer episode.
I know. I think doing that episode is what made me so physically weak. It ruined my constitution, sir. Just trying to wrap my brain around everything we had to unravel. All the way that time is a construct made by a man in order to keep us down.
Is that what it is?
But yeah, I don't know. It's something that's.
It was a special episode.
It was a very special episode. I hope you all enjoyed it. Please let us know what your favorite parts were.
Yes.
It's something I'm going to cherish doing with you. Thank you.
You know what, and thank you to you, sir. I'm glad we came up with this idea. It is by far my favorite episode of Cinnamon we've done so far.
I agree.
It's clean. It was a one-take episode. It was wonderful.
It really was, and the points that you made, I mean, it blew my mind. It blew my mind. It changed me. It changed me as an individual, as a podcaster, as a critic, as a husband and father. It changed me. So I need to thank you for that.
I immediately went home and rewatched the movie again. Like the things you threw out there that I hadn't caught, I see it in a completely new light now.
Oh,
yeah, man. And I hope you guys enjoyed episode 10.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. It was great to put together. We did it for you guys.
We did it for you, man. We're all in your corner. But that was in the past. Now we are back to the present. We're in 2019, so this is the first episode of 2019. Did you have a good New Year?
Since I wasn't coughing, sneezing, and trying to die, yes.
All right,
yes.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Although, because we have a dog, any fireworks-centric event usually just ends up with us staying up late to make sure the dog isn't dying. But, otherwise, it was a pretty good New Year. We watched, 1.5 movies together, and then I had to go to bed because my medication kicked in, and Crystal stayed up to watch the rest of Deadpool by herself, which was sad. But what about you?
It was great. Did New Year things. The end.
Because that's all he can remember.
It went out and had a blast at the end. Got to hang out with some Pop Regans. It was nice. What I wanted.
Wait, they're real? They're real?
Yeah, people actually listen to these shows. It still blows my mind.
I really am just convinced that they're bots you've created that just populate the group. Because what did you say, I think recently in the Facebook group, there was about 60 active people.
That's what I thought.
That many bots, you could do that. You could do that.
A person could. I'm far too lazy to do 60 of something in a row. Push-ups, sit-ups, all that. So I thought about 60 active, and then I looked at the admin tools, and it kind of tells you how many are active at any given time. And out of the 948 we had, it was something like 600 and some odd are active.
Yay!
Which means at least a post, a comment, or something like that. And I was like, well, didn't know that at all. So congratulations to you, Pop Regans. It's always weird when somebody comes to me and they're like, yeah, but like what you said on The Weekly Prophet. And I'm like, oh shit, people listen to these shows? Weird.
Yeah, it's Crystal gets all excited. She comes running up the steps. It's like, someone just said that they're gonna that you guys, it made their Friday commute. And I'm going, People are actually listening. It's not just Daryl and I wasting our time. So thank you guys for listening.
Thanks for listening. Yeah. As we look forward to 2019, before we do that, we have to look back at 2018. So this episode is going to be our top 5 favorites of 2018 and our top 5 movies that maybe you didn't get a chance to see or something we think you should check out that might have missed your radar. Before we get to that, what you been watching lately?
because we had such an extensive break. Now, of course, because I was sick, it's one of those frustrating things where I've got tons of time because I'm not going anywhere. But man, I can't focus on anything. So it's mostly a lot of Fuller House season 4.
Yes, that's some stuff you've seen a million times, or something you put on the background.
Right. Or, Lucifer, because they added the 3 seasons to Netflix, because season 4 is coming up in 2019. Really excited for that. Yeah. But when I was healthy, some of the films that I checked out that I definitely want to recommend, there's a film called Swing Kids that came out in December, but it's finally getting an extended release starting this past Friday, January 4th.
Word.
And it takes place during the Korean War. Highly recommend it. It's a war film / musical.
A war musical?
Yes. It's got some Stephen Chow elements. Stephen Chow did Kung Fu Hustle, Shaolin Soccer, stuff like that. The music is fantastic. It's about a dance group that forms in a POW camp.
Alrighty then.
You wouldn't expect it to be as wonderful as it is, and I don't necessarily mean wonderful in a happy way, but it does have some really happy moments.
Yeah, you can't be sad when you're dancing. It's hard to be sad. Let's put it that way.
It is definitely hard. Off mic, I'll tell you about one of my favorite moments in that entire film. There's also Who Will Write Our History, which is a documentary, sort of. It's very similar to one of my favorite films of this past year, which we'll get into in a little bit. But
maybe it's on my top 5 people I've missed.
It might be.
Might be.
But Who Will Write Our History is actually it's adapted from a book of the same name, but it's about a group of individuals, in short summary, that were in the Warsaw Ghetto during World War II that began tracking their daily activities, their thoughts. They were grabbing things from their life, not just in writing, but posters and drawings, to catalog that they existed.
Yeah.
And it is my favorite film that I've seen this year, and it gets a global release on the International Holocaust Remembrance Day.
Did Peter Jackson do that?
No, you're thinking of They Won't Grow Old, I think is the name.
Yeah.
And it will be getting, I think, a physical release coming up pretty soon, or another theatrical. It was only in theaters for 2 days, as I understand it, as a Fathom event.
Yeah,
and either it's getting another screening or it's just coming out on physical. I saw that recently, and I can't remember which. Checked out RBG and Won't You Be My Neighbor. RBG was amazing. Won't You Be My Neighbor is emotionally manipulative as all hell, and amazing and wonderful, because we did not deserve Fred Rogers.
Nothing but good thing.
The finding out that the puppets were accidental.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, it came out. He was doing a show very, very early on. He was doing a show with, I forget the woman who was, I think, the on-camera talent, and they had sent out requests to people, hey, we'll show your old movies. Well, the problem with getting these old movies is that the film was brittle and would break.
Yeah.
So they'd be doing a live show, and it would break. So using the time to fill it, at one point Fred Rogers just stuck his hand through the cloth background they had behind the talent, and he had a puppet. And they would use the puppet to have a conversation while they fixed it and then brought it back up. So
improv.
So that's sort of where that came from. I saw Venom.
Oh, did you, sir?
Yeah.
The comic book event of 2018.
Seriously? Cannot believe that. And it was actually for the day before my birthday. Crystal took the day off. My son was at school, and so we got to do adult things, like eat a meal without screaming at anybody. But I took her to see Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
And so we were talking about that at lunch, and we both loved the movie. It was my second time seeing it. And somehow it came up that Venom had put a couple minutes. You saw this, right?
Post-credit scene.
Yeah, the second post-credit scene is from Spider-Verse. And so we're sitting there like, we started the day with a really amazing Spider-Man movie. Should we end the day on a shitty Spider-Man movie?
These are not coupled goals, sir.
We're weird. So we had to drive around a little bit to track down. We were like, what, if we're going to do this, the art for the Steelbook is pretty cool. So
you bought it?
We bought it.
Oh, what are you going to do with it?
I'll probably watch it again. It is so bad.
Yeah.
It is so bad that mostly because they had... I would have loved to have seen the horror movie they were selling us with a teaser. If they had gone the horror movie route, the body horror route, I think it would have been much better. Apparently, some headlines suggested that Tom Hardy had said that all of his favorite stuff had been cut out.
Yeah.
I would love to see that material, because somewhere in there is a good idea surrounded by a lot of shitty ones that don't understand the material.
Yeah.
And I think that's why so many people liked it. It was a 90s comic book movie where who gives a fuck? It's Fantastic Four all over again, which I like Fantastic Four from the 90s. Mm-hmm. Or excuse me, early odds.
Yeah, early odds.
The Rise of the Silver Surfer, I haven't revisited that in years, and who knows if I will. But I've actually revisited the other Fantastic Four, and it's a fun family movie, which it's the Fantastic Four, it should be. Venom, on the other hand, it has no sense of what Venom is.
No.
Not even a little.
No.
Runt of the litter, Venom's the loser, Riot is somehow the leader. Fuck you. Have you not read Lethal Protector?
I don't think they read Lethal Protector.
That's what I'm saying. It was based on it, and they had these little wonderful nuggets of stuff. You know, the homeless are missing, and this. Oh, okay, yeah. No, he's using them to
test subjects,
as test subjects, as opposed to trying to find their hidey hole with a bunch of gold in it, which a little harder to do. But it was the 90s, so if you're gonna do it, fucking do it.
Go
man.
old 90s with it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Wow. Man, it didn't do anything for me. It's at the bottom of the superhero movie list for 2018 for me. I put it out there to the Paprikans, and it seems to be at the bottom of pretty much everybody's superhero list for 2018, or next to bottom. And
you know what? I still see a lot of conversations, depending on the movie that you're looking at, going how critics have no sense of what a good movie is, because you look at pick movie that audiences loved that critically didn't do well. Well, it's a very different experience. If I were reviewing Venom, I would not be kind because it doesn't understand what it is.
Yeah.
But if I'm just sitting there on my birthday, right, going into it knowing we're going to watch a shitty movie, it is a fun, shitty movie night movie.
It is a shitty movie, yes. That's my takeaway.
And I say that not in any way to disparage the fact that people made this movie. It's one of the reasons I don't do worst movie lists. Because if I don't like a movie, I'm not going to create a list to go, hey, I've been saying I don't like a movie. Here's a whole list of movies that people should shit on. Fuck that. I think that there is an audience for a movie like Venom. It is not one that I would hope that they replicate for the inevitable sequel. I hope that they have a better sense of what the character is and stuff like that. But the fact that they got Eminem to do a soundtrack song for this film tells me that they were going for the 90s comic book movie, in which case, who gives a shit? Except for people that actually know who Venom is and what Venom should be.
People who would actually enjoy a good comic book movie. They gave a shit.
Yes.
But, it is what it is. It won't be revisited by my eyes for the rest of my life. Nor will the sequel, probably. I'll take that time to do something else. That Woody Harrelson wig looks terrible. There's so many bad things.
I will say there is an extended scene of that sequence where you meet Cletus.
Yeah.
So much better than the one in the movie.
Yeah, still with shitty wig?
Well, I mean, it's not great makeup in terms of wig and everything else. It doesn't look that great, but Woody with hair is just strange, I think, for some people. But the fact that this is Natural Born Killers Woody Harrelson, like, I'm going to fuck some people up, Woody Harrelson, I would see him. I would show up for that movie. If they did Maximum Carnage, that's how you bring in Spider-Man.
20 years since we had that Woody Harrelson, though. I would like to leave that Woody back in the 90s. And take Julia Lewis back there with you. All right.
But what about you? You see anything worth mentioning?
Worth mentioning? Let me go to my list of things I've seen. Finally checked out Mission Impossible. That was the dopeness. I now have a long-standing history since Mission Impossible 3 on. I'm like, oh yeah, new Mission Impossible theaters, and it always leaves theaters before I can see it, and I always catch it on video.
Womp womp.
And then the next one comes out, I'm like, this is the one I'm going to see in theaters, and then I miss it. So 2 was the last one I saw in theaters. But yeah, finally caught it. Dopeness.
I think that is the same for me.
Yeah?
Yeah. Although I did see Fallout in theater. I got to go to this.
Well, for me, it was like 2 was so bad, and 3 came. I was like, fuck this. I'm gonna watch it. And then I watched it later on, and I was back on board, and I just missed 4, 5, and 6 in theaters. But I like that they kind of carried over from what was the Ghost Protocol?
Rogue Nation.
They kind of carried over the story from Rogue Nation into, which very dope.
First time they've ever had a director come back. Mm-hmm. Christopher McQuarrie has now directed 2 of them, and it's on purpose that Fallout is connected to Rogue Nation. Very much on purpose. The whole idea was for it to be a sort of sequel that would carry forward
one story.
Quite frankly, part part of what I love about Fallout is how it has a reference or homage or some sort of recognition all the way through all 6 films.
All the other ones. Yeah.
I mean, the what is it? The White Widow? It's Max's daughter.
Yes.
Love that. Calls him a paradox. Shit, yes. So,
it's nice to see Michelle Monaghan actually do almost a little something in this movie, as opposed to previous movies. It was like, oh, there she is. He's still watching over her creepily, and then that's
wasn't creepy. It wasn't creepy, and she only showed up for about 5 seconds at the end of Ghost Protocol. But that had less to do with what Ethan was doing and more to make Jeremy Renner's character feel better. But I mean, she had a big role in 3. Unfortunately, it was as the to represent the life that he can't have.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah. Checked out what else is notable? Checked out Roma, of course. Mm-hmm. It's Roma, the future best foreign winner in the future best cinematography. You Were Never Really Here. Check that out as well. And Crazy Rich Asians, 8th grade, a couple other things. It's my yearly December dash. Check out all the things throughout the year that I hadn't seen yet, and usually by the end of December, beginning of January, I'm like, fuck movie.
Well, considering some of the films that you watched, yeah, I would have that feeling too. I told you about doing my marathon and watching You Were Never Really Here.
Yeah.
I on purpose put something happy after that, and I got to the end of that movie and my jaw hit the floor. I was the only one in the house going, what the fuck? I loved that movie.
Yeah.
That movie, I think it ended up top 10 for me.
That was a
Lynn Ramsey,
movie
great
definitely
movie.
For Joaquin Phoenix. I can't see anybody else doing that role.
He's not for everybody. I know a lot of folks that are not Joaquin fans. For me, I like that he's really a character actor. Yeah. He just immerses immersed into these things, but he does it in a way that, as far as I'm aware, I'm currently not aware of any controversies or any issues with Joaquin, whereas there are other contemporaries of his, Casey Affleck, for example, who's another great character actor, but apparently has problems behind the scenes, and a few other things. But Joaquin, he's all about the work. And you've got your Jared Leto, who so good in these character roles, but such an asshole to his co-stars, and which is an absolute shame, because some of that you can't let go of that when you watch them on screen. But Joaquin, he's so good.
Yeah, he puts it out there. I'm not a huge fan of him, but I am interested in seeing what he does with this Joker movie we have coming out this year.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. I personally don't think it's necessary at all, but Joaquin signed on, and I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to watch this.
They took like a 2-week blitz and just forced, like, here's another picture, here's another behind the scenes. They're trying really hard to get us to like this film.
Yes.
Have you seen the dance number? They released maybe a 10 or 12. I'm not sure if it's actually part of the movie or behind the scenes, but it's just him in full costume on the staircase just dancing his ass off.
No.
In the Joker.
I think I need to find that.
Yeah, it's out there somewhere. Interesting, but yeah, what they've released is quite interesting.
Yeah, and that's enough for me to be curious. Now, frankly, after now the DC animated movies are usually fantastic.
January 12th, 13th. If you're listening to this when it goes up, we get the Death of Superman and the Reign of Superman in theaters.
Nope,
not gonna check that out, huh?
Well, I'm gonna watch it, not in theaters. I'm gonna wait till Netflix gets the disc, because it's sort of like Venom. Because I watched The Death of Superman, and I went, okay, within the New 52 universe that they've created, this film makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as creating the comic book and understanding the source material,
No, didn't come close, huh?
No.
I haven't watched it.
Enjoy. It is, for people that are reading the comics or people that are unfamiliar with the original run, it's probably very, very good. The choices they made make sense. It's sort of like you look at the Marvel Universe, for example, and they made changes to certain characters, but those changes have carried forward. So once you make one change, you sort of have to use that as you go.
Yeah.
Those changes sort of make sense for what they're doing. X-Men movies, they made changes when they first came out. Rogue was not the adopted daughter of Mystique and hadn't stolen Captain Marvel's powers, et cetera, et cetera. But the choices that they made because of the way that they were designed, make sense as you go forward in those films. You sort of go, okay, these are the rules that they're creating. But it's not the story, really, from the comic.
Faithful adaptation.
There are characters in the Death of Superman animated film that never fought Doomsday.
Okay.
And considering I have the posters, and I've mentioned this before, I have the posters for the 4 Supermen from Reign hanging in my son's bedroom, as it used to hang in mine as a child.
Yeah.
Fuck that noise. I have Superman's obituary, the armband, and the trading card that came in the black bag hanging on my office wall. Fuck that noise.
Yeah, man, if they just died and never came back, I'd have been happier man, because fuck Superman. Let's move on.
Whoa! Okay, we're suddenly changing the entire theme of today. But anyway.
Extremely whack. Are we ready to get into our top 5?
Okay, excuse me a second. For anyone that says Superman's whack because, oh, he's a Boy Scout and you can't do stories, look at fucking Captain America.
Also whack.
No.
I don't like either one of them.
Now, okay.
I'm consistent in my judgments.
Oh, well, at least you're consistent.
Yeah.
As opposed to a lot of the movies that are being made. Now, Chris Evans is phenomenal in that role. And I grew up on DC. I didn't really read Marvel. My oldest brother did, and he used to share them with me so I could understand what was going on.
Yeah.
But Captain America, to me, is essentially a Superman-esque character, morally driven, superpowered, whatever. But they have made that trilogy of films probably the best, the anchor of all the films. It creates a compass. It creates a direction for the heart of these films. Now, I mean, Robert Downey Jr., he's the godfather of this stuff. He's the first one, so he created all this. He's that connection.
He's the face.
But he's the face of it. But if he's the brains, if he's the creator, Captain America is the heart.
Yes.
And that really comes from Evans. So, you know. Anyway, if they can make those 3 movies amazing, they can do that. And I wouldn't mind seeing Cavill back in the role.
I was okay with Man of Steel. It's like my number 2 favorite DC movie. I love Man of Steel, sir. Love that movie. We'll talk about that.
That is good for you. That is. I'm so glad for you. I'm so happy for you that you have a Superman movie you like.
Backhanded shade.
I would not tell anyone not to enjoy that movie. I do not care for it.
Everyone should enjoy that. All right,
I do not care for it.
As a avid Superman supporter, then that is you. I'm sure you have feelings and thoughts.
We've talked about them.
We've
talked about it. And if you want, we can do a whole show about that nonsense.
I'm okay with that.
But not
we
today.
We just do a commentary. I'd be okay with that.
Oh, that would hurt me to rewatch that movie, but I will do it.
And I would love every minute.
I would do it. All right, so.
Which one are we starting out with?
I think we should start with the films that we love. Our top 5 films, if only because chances are these are films that other people have heard about. They're probably on other people's lists, most likely. So this is stuff that was at the top of ours, and then we can go with the stuff that they missed. Unless you feel like it's worth going in the other direction.
I was trying to think of any reason to switch it around, and I can't think of any reasonable way. So yeah, let's roll with top 5 that we love.
All right, what's your number 5?
Number 5 is Black Klansman. Hit the number 5 mark. Spike Lee, John David Washington. Who else in this one? Adam Driver, who, when it first came out, I was like, best supporting actor right here. And I kind of hadn't heard much about that since. I don't know if he's nominated for a Globe or not. Globes are today. Matter of fact, the day we are filming this, so I will make sure that I am back and in place for the Globes game.
Wait. We're filming? Am I on camera?
Recording.
I did not dress for this. I did shower.
Oh, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Topher Grace, David Duke. I think it's Spike Lee at top Spike Lee form. I think it's been a little while since we've seen Spike Lee at top Spike Lee form. This movie is amazing. It's very well done. There was a little bit of trepidation going in because the trailer promises one thing, the movie gave us another thing. I had heard that going in, but I still very much like what I got as a final product. It seemed the trailer cut it a little bit more lighthearted, and I was always a little bit wary of that because when's the last time you saw Spike Lee do lighthearted? It don't happen often.
No,
it don't happen often. So I was like,
he does use humor really, really well, but it's usually in response to the drama.
Exactly. So I didn't exactly trust the trailer. I knew it wasn't going to be exactly what the movie was going in. And I was very happy with the final product. I thought John David Washington did a fine performance. Definitely not best actor of any kind. I do believe Spike Lee should be nominated for Best Director. I think the film should be nominated for Best Film. I think, for me, the heart and soul of that movie is Adam Driver. He was the one who was just as conflicted as John David Washington's character was. But yeah, I would like to see more of everybody that had any parts of this movie whatsoever.
On that, I agree with you completely.
Yeah,
there were some fantastic performances.
Even all the, he's kind of tongue in cheek poking fun at the rednecks and the lower class, and I enjoyed that more than I should have probably. But even those guys did their roles very well.
Yeah, no, there's an incredible cast in that film. Cinematography is fantastic. The direction's fantastic. The story, the story that they tell is incredibly engaging, and it ends on a sledgehammer of a moment, on an absolute sledgehammer. Where
that's prime Spike Lee right there.
Oh yeah, that's where the subtlety goes out the window.
Yeah,
and it's incredibly powerful if you've bought in up to the ending. If you're in it, if you're feeling it, then that'll break you a little bit. I know I left the theater when I saw it shaken.
Yeah,
just because, and it's part of what I loved about the documentary I mentioned, Who Will Write Our History. I was crying watching the documentary. The subject matter hits a little close. Mm-hmm. And in the same way, Black Klansman, the way that it goes, okay, we're telling you this real story, but it looks like a show. And then it cuts to the news.
Yeah. Because I was sitting there like, hey, watch the movie. And then that shit hits, and I was like, oh, this takes a hard left.
Well, it's not so much a left as I think it was a really, and I hesitate to call it wonderful or beautiful or fantastic, but it really puts a fine point on the ending that the film's ending, this shit's still going on.
Right.
This happened a year ago. Because I think the day I saw it was either the day I saw it or the weekend it came out originally, was a year from the incident in Charlottesville.
Yeah, that's my number 5. I'm glad I sat down and took time to watch that movie while I was laid up in the hotel.
You know my feelings. All of you have heard my feelings on movies that say they're true stories and then lie to you. So I can totally get why people have enjoyed this film. I could not keep it in my top 10 for that reason.
All right, I judge a film based on the film.
And you should.
What's your number 5, sir?
My number 5 should surprise no one, but it's Mandy.
Mandy.
I loved this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't love it. I went into it because I kept hearing about this film as Nick Cage at his cagiest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually one of those people that enjoys Nick Cage in just about anything.
Yeah.
He was probably one of the best parts of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, he had some good one-liners, man.
Is it windy in here?
Is it windy in here?
Follows me everywhere. What is this contraption?
He took it with him, didn't he?
What was that?
He took it with him, didn't he?
Yeah. In fact, it was in the end credit sequence when they're showing you the different Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's Spider-Man Noir with check out the amazing device. Like he's doing a presentation or some shit.
Yes.
Oh, it's wonderful. But we'll get into the Spider-Verse, I'm sure. But with Mandy, it was a quiet film.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, Andrea Riseborough, she is the heart of this entire film.
Yeah.
As the woman who, like Nick Cage's Red, they're living out in the wilderness. They're sort of broken people that together are able to heal.
Yeah.
She has a history of violence in her life. And this is sort of suggested, but I think he's not only just a hunter who has a violent streak, but also is a recovering alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're sort of in the woods and they're living together and they're just together. They do things that the other doesn't necessarily enjoy, but they do them together. It's like her reading a book while he's fishing.
Yeah.
And it's just the two of them in this lake. Exactly. And the fact that it goes to such crazy lengths is fantastic to watch, heartbreaking to experience.
Okay.
That sure, Nick Cage his character of Red goes through this entire journey, essentially through hell, to get vengeance for what happens. But it does give us one of the best cinema scenes, I think, from the year. And particularly at a time when there is a lot of scrutiny on male behavior, which is justified.
Yeah.
Men suck.
Yeah.
And the moment when it's Linus Roche's character of Jeremiah Sand, he's the cult leader. He's kidnapped Mandy. He's tied up Red. And he's given Mandy these hallucinogens. And it's a beautiful scene. Mm-hmm. From the cinematography and the styling of it, the fact that Sand is giving this big speech about how he's essentially God and he's getting closer to Mandy, and the camera is switching between Mandy and Jeremiah's face with just by making it seem like one face is turning into the other, sort of morphing into the other, and you're getting the sense of the drugs that she's on. And he finishes this big speech, and he opens up his robe, exposing himself, and he's like, "Come to me," and she just laughs at him. Like, what the fuck? No! And it is so... I mean, unfortunately, that's what then... That becomes the moment, but he has a fragile male ego, and he deserves to be laughed at.
Yeah.
So it's just this wonderful sequence, and Mandy is a beautiful film, just from the way that it's shot. The story, I thought, was fantastic. And while I don't get the whole cheddar goblin love, I really don't get that. The mac and cheese, it shows up for like 30 seconds. Red comes into his house after all this stuff has happened. It's on TV, and I'm okay. People are into it.
People latch on to some weird things.
They do. But man, I can't stop thinking about Mandy. I can't stop talking about it.
All right, then it is number 3 on my list of things that I'm like, how did I not get to this? Not on this list, but just there's a list of movies I'm like, I still got to check this out even though it's a new year.
There are so many. Anybody that said that this past year there was nothing to watch, I'm telling you, you weren't looking.
Nope.
You weren't looking, or you were just like, this isn't for me.
And
trying. That's fine. But you gotta try stuff that you may not be into.
Yes.
But anyway, what's your number 4?
Spider-Verse.
Yay!
Number 4 is Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse. I am going to assume that's somewhere on your list as well.
Yep.
It's, I mean, we talked about it kind of at length 2 episodes ago, I think it was.
Right after it came out?
Yeah.
Or right before it came out?
Right before it came out. So we're going to need to retread old waters. I've seen it twice in theaters now. You've seen it twice in theaters too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Would like to go again.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, if I'm sitting around, I'm like, oh, you know what? It should happen. I'll go watch Spider-Verse again. Why not? I just got the AMC A+ joint.
Nice.
Yeah. So 3 free movies a week. That's not a bad deal at all.
In any format you want.
In any format.
That alone makes me interested if I had the free time.
Yeah. I might go rewatch Aquaman in IMAX just because I heard just that trench scene alone is worth the IMAX watch.
Yeah, my Aquaman experience wasn't great. We talked about that, but that trench scene is so beautiful.
You know, speaking of bad experiences, before I get in Spider-Verse, what did I just watch? I watched The Mule last week, I think it was. I got there right as halfway through the trailers or whatever, and there's this older lady in a giant shawl walks in right before I walk in, and it just so happens that we're sitting right next to each other. So half her giant fucking shawl was just draped over me, and I'm like, I'm not trying to be under your blanket. She's on the phone as she walks in and stays on the phone throughout the trailers. And then at some point after the movie, she just straight up pulls it out, bright screen and all, starts texting somebody. And I just turn and I give her the death stare. So she goes under her shawl with her phone to continue.
Just
leave the fucking movie theater. So I had to watch like this, and it was a damn near threadbare shawl at first. So you could still see light coming through the thing, but just her like can't under it was some kind of tent. Oh, I was so mad. And Clint Eastwood had a very mad face as well.
Doesn't he always?
Yeah, doesn't he always? Spider-Man and Spider-Verse is so much fun, man. It's just fun from beginning to end. It is a fresh, in a time where people complaining about superhero origin stories, this is a definite fresh take on it. And how,
all right, let's do this one last time.
Yes, it's something like that. I saw somebody just did it for Venom.
Oh, really? Nice.
It's pretty good. Yeah, it's just a fresh take. It's, even though they retread origin stories, it doesn't feel retread.
Yeah.
Everybody just gets a couple, bam, this is what happened, bam, this happened to me, bam, this is what happened to me. And then, of course, Miles comes at the very end, which was a smart way to play that whole thing out. Everybody's got a little bit of agency in there. Everybody's got their purpose. Everybody's got their roles, their jobs. The gender bend Doc Ock was good to see. That was something I was like, oh, she's okay. How did that?
Spoiler.
I mean, at this point, it's been out for what, a month now?
Doesn't matter. Spoiler.
Yeah, I'm spoiling it. The gender bend Doc Ock. Yeah, I'm spoiling. Kingpin. No, that was the weak point for me.
What?
Whatever. I didn't like the way that he looked. I thought he was drawn a little bit too outlandish.
You mean for a movie that had Ben-Day dots and had the had its animation style where it looked like it was misprinted? Yeah, I mean, definitely outlandish.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Stop it.
Line.
Stop being that guy. It just looked absurd to me.
Okay.
Like for some reason, like his shoulders were up here, but his head's like in his chest somewhere. He's
looked hunched over. You've never seen people hunched over?
I've seen people hunched over, but not like that before. I like that there's small things. Like one of his henchmen, Tombstone, that he's never mentioned as Tombstone. I think he has like 2 lines in the whole thing. Scorpion, they actually kept him in Spanish. In Spanish.
Is that the current iteration or is that the original iteration? I didn't know he was Spanish before.
Yeah, Scorpion's always been Spanish.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I don't know his origin.
He pops up in Spider-Man Homecoming. He is on the yacht or whatever.
Yes, he does.
Yeah. And then he's in the end credits as well because that's where the FBI caught him all. So I'm glad that he's a Hispanic actor as well. And then, if we're going no spoilers, that person at the end of Spider-Verse.
Oscar Isaac.
Spoilers over here. There is, I'm not going to say it's flawless because no movie is flawless, but it is so much fun. I hadn't had fun like that in quite some time in the theater, man. And every once in a while, you just need fun. I like a good weighty joint. I'll let you have the "you were never really here." That's weight on a whole different level. I like a good weighty joint, but this one is just fucking. That's you shoving buckets of corn into your face.
Yeah,
and I loved every second of it.
Awesome.
And finally, glad to see Miles get some shine.
Yeah. I am now a Miles fan. I'd heard about him. I'd seen him in a cartoon. My son likes Spider-Man, so we would find either something on YouTube or the Disney or whatever. But I didn't really know Miles. Now I'm a fan.
Glad he got some shine, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to Hispanic African Americans everywhere, which my daughter is.
Oh, right on. You done?
Yeah.
Okay. My number 4, one we will definitely not agree on. Sorry to bother you.
Oh, my number 400 for this.
Boots Riley. I just rewatched this. I showed it to Crystal for the first time.
Yeah.
And I loved it even more. Because what I love about this film is that it pushes the audience every step of the way. It goes, okay, it's an alternate reality. You accept that. Cool. Now we're going to do this. Oh, you accept that? Cool. Hey, how about this over here? You like this too? All right, now we're going to keep pushing. And that's all that this film does is it pushes and it pushes and it pushes. And for a lot of folks, that third act twist that people considered it a twist, I know it's where you shut down.
Yep,
I know it's where a lot of people shut down. Friends and family have all gone, what the fuck is this mess?
Yeah.
I was in it up until the Equine Sapiens. You know what? To me, it just built on everything else that came before it, and it just continues to push it. Now, Crystal's response is, to all of that, and maybe there's something to it, is that the reason why people didn't like the Equine Sapiens is because of the swinging horsecock. I think she thinks that maybe it made some people uncomfortable, that they were like, put some pants on them. Maybe I could handle it if I wasn't seeing their dick swinging in the wind. I don't know. But for me, I just loved this notion that Boots is pushing you to try and see what you accept as okay. Where is your line in the sand? Because there are some terrible things that are happening in the film. There are a lot of moral and ethical questions that are happening in the film. And Cash, played by Lakeith Stanfield, does a wonderful job of struggling with the dissonance that's happening. Is this the right thing to do? But what is the type of person I want to be? What is the mark I want to leave? And the Equine Sapiens, that was his line in the sand. This is where he went, okay, things are too much accepted in our world. I mean, we're not too far away from, what's the name of the TV show? I got the shit kicked out of me. We've got TV shows where people go on just to make fools of themselves.
Yeah.
And we've got viral videos that get shared plenty of places, reshares and likes. Now, there's a difference between shaming someone when that stuff gets shared. That's not so favorable. But if someone is sharing it and, hey, I made an ass of myself and here you go, people will do that over and over again. We're not too far away from I got the shit kicked out of me.
No, we're not.
Where is our line in the sand? We've got Sour Patch Kid cereal. All right, we are a step away from idiocracy.
Yeah, as long as I get my Brondo, the thirst mutilator, then I'm all right. That's after that is where I draw my line. As long as I get it, then I'll draw my line in the sand.
But that's why I love Sorry to Bother You, and it's not a movie I could put on in the background and just sort of have fun with it. I could do that with Venom. I could do it with Tag. Plenty of films this year where I can just put it on in the background and be fun to check in and out of. Sorry to Bother You, I have to watch.
Yeah, you got to be locked in for that joint. 2/3 of that movie is absolutely amazing.
I agree. All of it is amazing.
2/3 of that movie is
all of it is amazing.
And then you get to that swinging horse cock, and I'm just like, oh, I'm done. I'm done here, folks.
I even love the Forrest Whitaker, who, if I remember, I was a producer on the film or somehow connected to it. He does the voice of the sapien that saves the three guys from arrest.
Yeah.
The three guys, or is it just no, it's just Cassius. Cassius is the only one arrested. But anyway,
that I feel like that's a movie. Like we were saying, You Were Never Here is a joint that is Joaquin Phoenix's joint. That was for, like, I couldn't see anybody else. Same with Keith Stanfield. Like, he's a weird dude, man. Like, the cat's a weird cat. If you watch Atlanta, he's just a weird dude.
He's a phenomenal actor.
Yeah, I've seen him in a couple interviews. I'm just like, he's an acceptably weird dude. So I'm going to see him in some acceptably weird things. I hope he keeps making more weird stuff like this.
Yeah.
We don't have enough weird actors, man.
Yeah. And
no Crispin Glovers of the day.
And I wasn't I'd seen a couple episodes of Atlanta, but I didn't, other than Donald Glover, I wasn't really familiar with any of the actors in it. Yeah. But in this past year, like, Keith Stanfield's sort of blown up. I mean, coming out of Get Out last year. But even that, I was like, oh, I like him. But I didn't recognize him as being from Atlanta. You got Zazie Beetz. You got, Brian Tyree Henry?
Yep.
Who's also in that. And he's really good. He's done some great work this year. He was sort of wasted in Hotel Artemis, but he's done some great work. I think he was also one of the voice actors in Spider-Verse.
I haven't seen him in Widows. Yeah, he is. That's right. Miles' dad. Jefferson. If I remember correctly, yeah.
Anyway, what's your number 3?
Number 3 is Avengers: Infinity War.
Right on.
I mean, enough people have talked about this. You know what it is. I've seen this movie 7 times now.
Only 7?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's what I have time for. I actively have to choose to do other things rather than sit and watch Avengers: Infinity War again. It is it's amazing. It lived up to the hype for me.
Yep.
I don't think Endgame will be as hype going in as Infinity War was, because now we've seen Thanos, we see what he can do. So the things can be a little bit more tempered. Expectations can be a little bit more tempered, so it won't be as hype going in. It'll still be exciting to watch, but it won't be at the fever pitch. I think things were going into Infinity War, much like Episode 8 was not at fever pitch like it was going into Episode 7.
That's true.
But yeah, Thanos, amazing villain. Amazing. Coming off of a year where, like, Killmonger's the shit. Mm-hmm. And then we get Thanos, and I'm like, this dude's a fucking madman. And I loved every second of it. I love a villain who is just so obviously wrong, who thinks he's so obviously right, and he sticks to his convictions. I love villains like that, man. Just absolute psychopaths and madmen, all of them. And everybody turns in a good, solid performance. You know, some heroes got short shifted, which is okay, because this is pretty much one half of a 2-part movie. Yeah. You know, those guys who got short shifted are going to be the main focuses, and then everything should balance out towards the end. That's all things should be. Yeah. I think there's people who actually thought he wasn't going to do it. Mm-hmm. I've seen on Twitter, he actually did the snap. I was like, if he did do the snap, this movie would have been ruined.
Yeah.
He had to do that snap. It was just a matter of what happens after that snap. That's what I was there for. Everything that happens up to that snap, I was like, all right, yeah, we're going to get there eventually. I'm just here to see what happens afterwards. And it did not disappoint, man. Emotional. That Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. Nice improv by Tom Holland, man.
Yep.
That kid's going to be a fine actor, I think. He's going to be around for a while.
Yeah.
It just dusting in Tony Stark's arms. And we have seen a complete progression from beginning to end of Tony Stark now, I think. Yeah, it's an amazing film. It looks wonderful. It sounds wonderful. I think it's going to be nominated for best sound mixing, sound editing. It's got a little bit of issues in there, and I'll keep on watching.
One of the things that I think a lot of people forget when they watch these films is that they're not standalones. Like they know that they're not standalones, but at the same time they keep thinking about them that way. The fact that Tony goes to grab Peter and is cradling him, coming off of Homecoming. No, wait, yeah, Homecoming. We're not there. Yeah. No, it was Civil War. He goes to help him out the door. And he goes. Peter thinks it's for a hug, and he's like, "No, we're not there yet."
Yeah.
And just that arc.
That's Homecoming.
That is Homecoming? I couldn't remember.
That's Homecoming.
But coming through that arc of Civil War to Homecoming to Infinity War, and to see that they're there, the fact that Star-Lord gets so much shit, and he doesn't deserve it.
Rightfully. Rightfully.
No, he does not deserve it.
Yeah, he does.
And this is part of the problem where so many people go, that's a plot hole. It's not.
That'd be a plot hole.
Exactly. Well, a lot of people go, plot holes are things where they should have made a different choice.
No, that's not what a plot hole is.
I agree with you completely.
Yeah.
And it makes perfect sense when you look at the trajectory of Star-Lord and what he's done. He's not exactly the most mature individual one.
No.
But he also has a deep relationship with Gamora. And we've gone from 1 and 2, which were set about 6 to 8 months apart, and then several years between 2 and this one.
Yes.
We don't know how long he and Gamora have actually been in a relationship, but they've been in a relationship long enough to say, I love you.
Yeah, long enough to be comfortable with this relationship.
Absolutely.
Long enough that I think the other Guardians are comfortable with this relationship.
Absolutely. And when you look at Tony trying to connect to Star-Lord and let him know, calm down, this isn't the time. This comes from personal experience. Because he went through this shit fighting with Steve. He knows what it means to make a rash decision through the emotions. There's too much at stake. So there's all of these story arcs coming together, and I think people just look at Star-Lord and go, what an asshole. No.
Yeah, he was an asshole. What you're saying is very true. It is very logical. But come on, man. Half the fucking universe is on the stake. You got to keep that shit in.
But that's not who he is. That's not who the Guardians are. They're not the rational.
That's true.
It's Peter turning into Pac-Man to attack his father, right?
I will say this though: that whole idea, Star-Lord's idea, and it was a fine fucking plan that almost worked.
It was
almost worked.
And this is how you know how mature he is leading up into it: is when they've got him. He goes, just for the record, my plan. Right? Which is pure Star-Lord. And we're okay with him doing that immature shit.
Yeah.
But then when the emotional stuff happens, suddenly we're not okay with it. Go back and watch the other 2 movies. This guy's emotionally stunted.
Yeah.
So, in the moment, you can't go, oh, well, I would've. F you, buddy. You're not him. You're sitting in your seat in the theater at home.
Yeah.
So, in defense of Star-Lord.
Star-Lord would have. And just the last tidbit, and people still don't really take superhero movies seriously as far as awards, but I would like to see the Russos not win, but at least be nominated, because that's a whole lot of juggling and a whole lot of shit. You got a whole lot of egos you got to control. There's a lot of planning goes in. I think they could at least get nominated for best director, because they pulled off a feat with that movie. And the fact that we know stuff is coming after this, in that moment, even in the back of your mind, you're like, I mean, Luke Kugel's coming back for Black Panther 2. They're filming another Spider-Man right now. Doesn't matter. You were swept up. In that moment. It does what it's supposed to do.
I agree completely.
Your number 3.
My number 3 is a film that was actually shot for parts in North Carolina, in Charlotte, in the Davidson area. It's American Animals. Directed by Bart Layton. It is a docudrama, is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
What I loved about this film, it tells the story of a real theft that took place in, I believe, 2004 at Transylvania University, where 4 students robbed the library of these rare books. And what's brilliant about the film is that it's following it focuses on one gentleman in particular, and that's how we get introduced to the other guys. But as you are being told this story, you're also getting interviews with real people that were involved in the theft. Either one of the 4 individuals, the woman who was robbed, who was running the library, their parents. And as the film plays, sometimes the details shift and change as you're watching it, because someone will tell something and someone else goes, no, it was actually like this. And then, so like a tie will change or the weather will shift or something to that degree. The whole thing about this story is about perception. What you see may not be what actually happened. And it's a phenomenal film. It was early on I think it was over the summer, about halfway through the year that I saw this film. I cannot speak highly of it enough, and definitely more people should see it. It's in particular a phenomenal performance by Blake Jenner, who has he's not as in it as much as Evan Peters or Barry Gogan, but Blake Jenner has a phenomenal moment when shit starts to go sideways. And that alone, in addition to some of his other work, The Edge of 17 and Everybody Wants Some, this is a guy that now when I see he's in a movie, I go, ooh, I think I want to check that out.
Yeah.
And scenes like this one, where he just loses his shit at how stupid they all are.
Yes.
Is a phenomenal moment. So it's my number 3.
Was he the one with the money?
No. He was the one with the car.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah. That really put Evan Peters on the map for me.
Really?
You know, I'd see him in, the X-Men movies, but nobody's good in those movies. So, I didn't have. This was my base for him. I was like, okay, so when given some real material, this kid knows something to do with it. I enjoyed the shit out of this movie, man. Yeah. And the fact that it was a docudrama and that there's you have to be paying attention sometimes to see the slight changes and whatnot. And I just thought, even just the concept of we're not gonna run a bank or anything, we're gonna steal books. That was like, oh, something different. Okay, that's what piqued my interest. And then how they chose to tell the story, I think was very smart and very well done.
And all the homages to all these other heist
films. Heist movies? Are you in you out right now? I was like, that's Oceans. Yeah.
They do a straight up. There's a shot where at the beginning of the film that you see the different guys getting ready, and then a car goes around to pick them up, and there's a shot that is straight out of The Dark Knight.
Is it?
It is the shot where the camera is sort of low and comes up on the Joker before he gets picked up, and all you see is a guy with a mask.
Yes.
They used that shot in the opening of the film.
That's right. I remember that, yeah. And it was that, and I was like, oh, I'm in for this movie.
Yeah. And throughout the film, there's all these little references, particularly with the films that they're actually watching as they prepare to do the heist, and then you actually get a run-through of what they think the heist will look like. And and I think they use a little less conversation by Elvis Presley.
Oceans.
Yeah, straight up. Straight up, because that's what they think it is. Reality, a little different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. It was simultaneously serious and tongue-in-cheek at the same time.
Switch to number 2.
Number 2 is the favorite.
Right on.
Good old the Greek freak himself, Yorgos Lanthimos. Olivia Colman, Emma Stone, Rachel Weisz, Nicholas Hoult up in there as well. They Barry Lyndon us with this movie. And the only reason I like Barry Lyndon is how that film was shot. Mm-hmm. And they replicated the same thing, all natural light. On top of that, it's actually a good story. It's pettiness at a level. I love pettiness. I'll just put it out there right now. And it really is, on surface, when I first walked out, I was like, oh, it's just two women vying for the attention of the queen, trying to make sure they stay in her favor so their lives stay comfortable. Rachel Weisz already had all of that. Then Emma Stone kind of came in and wanted to try to muscle her way into the comfortable life as well. Coming from previously a comfortable life, and then, circumstances beyond her control gave her a shit life, and then she just wants to get back to that level of comfort that she's used to, that she's comfortable with.
Right.
And then you kind of think about it later on, since this movie kind of is a little bit newer, I won't spoil as much, but coming out of it afterwards, I'm like, I understand what Emma Stone was trying to do, but in the end, I was like, I don't know about this. My opinions on her changed afterwards. My opinions on Rachel Weisz changed afterwards. The only constant in that movie is Olivia Colman and Nicholas Hoult. Like, they pretty much stay who they are throughout. Queen Anne had health issues and all that kind of other good shit, and they use some of those issues to play into this movie, and that's how she's manipulated. She's manipulated very much in this movie. And Nicholas Hoult does a lot of manipulating himself to elevate his station. A lot of it is very It's Game of Thrones light.
Okay.
Is what this movie is. Have you seen The Favorite? No. Yeah.
Getting sick for a week.
They'll fill up your schedule real quick.
It jacked up my schedule pretty hardcore because I wasn't teaching. So I've got all my work done. I will barrel through my own list of films.
Yeah.
Nope.
That's crappiness. I highly suggest The Favorite to everyone. It just it is the only thing that could possibly give Roma a run for its money in best cinematography, because I'm a huge cinematography fan, and that movie looks beautiful. That's a Blu-ray day one purchase for me.
Right on.
Yeah, and the performances are amazing. I haven't seen any of Yorgos' other movies. I didn't see The Lobster.
Very good.
Is it? Yeah, I've seen clips. I saw a clip
it.
of it after I saw The Favorite. Like, I think I was scrolling through on Facebook and somebody had posted a clip, and I was like, "This shit looks crazy." I hear he's a director that his movies is for you or it's not for you, and there's very little middle ground. The Favorite was very much for me, so I'm willing to check out The Lobster and anything else he's done besides that.
It is nothing. It is everything like and nothing like what the trailers tell you. It's actually in a lot of ways like Sorry to Bother You in that regard. And how do you advertise this film so that the general public doesn't go, that shit's weird, I don't want to be part of
this was a little too weird.
Yeah. So with I do recommend The Lobster.
Okay.
It's an odd film with phenomenal performances.
Okay. All right then. I mean, I'm a Colin Farrell fan, so
yeah.
I think John C. Reilly's in there as well. I want to check this joint out, man.
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah. He plays the friend.
Yep, The Favorite, number 2 for me. What ails your number 2?
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
All right, there it is.
Yeah, number 2 for me. I love everything about this. You say there's no such thing as a perfect movie. I say it is. There is nothing about this movie that I do not love, including Kingpin. Mm-hmm. From an artistic perspective, the way that they are telling this story, the fact that he is so large to blot out the sun, that there's at least 1 or 2 shots where the only color in that scene is his head because everything else is black, just really showcases who it's the physical representation of his personality.
Yeah.
He has become this huge beast, and in drawing him that way, it helps because it's not really about him. We get little things about him. We get the reason why he's doing what he's doing. It's not because he's a bad guy, which he is, but there's an emotional stake in it for him. So a lot of the storytelling they have to do is what he does physically. And how else do you show that this is an imposing motherfucker? Then you make him an imposing motherfucker who somehow can fit into a car that is much smaller. Much smaller than he
should
is.
Never be in a little 2-door coupe or
and yet
coupe.
he gets out of that SUV and it rocks, and I'm going, yes. But this is purely Miles' story and its little details. Someone pointed out, and by the way, you're talking about watching different scenes and you've seen it twice. I can't tell you the amount of times. I think it's the company is Viral Media that works with Sony, and Sony's been releasing scenes from Spider-Verse. I can't tell you the number of times I've seen the sequence where Miles becomes Spider-Man.
It does the leap of faith?
Oh yeah. What's Up, Danger? That song that I just made a CD of songs from 2018 that I could not make that CD without that song on it. It's just the way that it's shot, the fact that the glass is breaking. Someone pointed this out, and I thought about it and went, holy shit, that's right. When he leaps off the building, when he's adjusting, he's able to move his hands, he's able to move his feet, he's fine. But when he makes the leap and the glass breaks, it's not just a way to show the force with which he's jumping off. He was still sticking. He was still scared. Mm-hmm. And so the fact that he makes the jump anyway, still terrified. And as he is falling and the camera switches perspective, he is rising.
Oh, okay, yes.
So he may be falling, but he's also rising towards who he's becoming. He is running towards that or falling towards it. And the joy that he has, it's something Crystal pointed out. And, the first time you see it, you're just sort of, what the hell is this? And isn't it? Oh, and that joke and this reference. And, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
But the second time you really get to think about it and catch stuff, and Crystal noticed with only one watch that as he is swinging, he's also running. Why? Because he runs better than he swings.
Yeah.
He is his own version of Spider-Man, which they all are, whether you are Spider-Woman, a.k.a. Spider-Gwen, whether you're Penny Parker from, whatever alternate Earth that is, Spider-Ham. I didn't even realize Spider-Ham has 2 masks on. I didn't even realize that. Apparently he does, because he's got, I don't know. I didn't notice it, but people are just catching all of these details.
So many little things up there.
So many little things, and this is why I love it, because it is so thoughtful, and it is so heartbreaking, and yes, does it have stuff that you expect from a Spider-Man story? Someone is going to die close to that character. That is what happens.
Yeah.
But it is how we deal with tragedy that makes us who we are, that makes Spider people who they are. It's why anyone can be Spider-Man, why anyone can do it. And the fact that that is running in a more subtle way, tangentially with the Kingpin, I love it. It is the fact that here is a choice of how do we deal with tragedy? How do we deal with loss? Do we make it consume us, or do we use that as a way to create change? So I loved everything about that film. Voice casting, top down.
On point.
Chris Pine, Jake Johnson, Oscar Isaac. Yes! I need more of Oscar Isaac. Marsala Ali, Shameik Moore, Brian Tyree Henry, all of them were amazing. And even the little choices, having Miles in his home and walking through his neighborhood, jumping between English and Spanish fluidly, just having conversations with people, no subtitles. Loved it.
Yeah.
Because that's how it is. The only time we ever get subtitles is from the Scorpion.
Yeah.
And even then, not a lot.
Yeah, he doesn't say a lot.
But you didn't need to. But it's so good. No, number 2. And I wish it would get a nomination for Best Picture. I think it is one of the best films that has come out this year.
All right.
Not just animated, but best films.
Number
1.
Annihilation.
Okay.
Annihilation. And Doug is deflated and disappointed all at the same time.
I didn't get it. I'm sorry. But please.
I love Annihilation. We only get 2 or 3 good, weighty, thoughtful science fiction movies a year.
Yeah.
This year we only got 1.
Avengers Infinity War, I agree. No, just kidding.
Annihilation is beautiful. It is amazing. It looks beautiful. Everybody that all the team that goes in, they all have shit that they got to deal with inside. The giant allegory for pretty much cancer, which is how I see this movie. I know other people see it differently. Me and Leslie argued about this a couple days ago. I see it as a giant allegory for cancer. It is slowly spreading. It's eating, it's destroying, altering, changing everything in its path. Much what cancer cells do.
Yeah.
Or cancer does. They were the white blood cells that tried to get in there and save the day. And as a group on the mission, they're going to get picked off one by one. That's just how these things work. Until your protagonist is pretty much the only one that's left. How they go out is scary. It's terrifying sometimes. It's harrowing. It's a joy. Tessa Thompson is just like, you know what? I'm just going to give myself up to it.
So good. And she has done so much good work this year.
She did too much good work this year. I tweeted her and I was like, can you just kind of chill out for 2019?
Give other people a chance. We need more Tessa Thompson.
Don't overburden us all at once. Don't J-Laws.
No.
The fact that she just kind of gave into it. It's scenes that have stuck with me since February, all throughout the year of just them cutting the dude open and the eels swimming around in his intestine. And
I found out that was a practical effect. I thought that was CG when I saw that was practical
effects.
I love that.
That's what I'm talking about.
Love that.
I think Natalie Portman's. This is easily my favorite Natalie Portman movie of all time. I mean, I love The Professional, and I mean, who doesn't love The Phantom Menace? But, her
not so much.
Her performance in this is amazing, and it's having the affair with the dude from Cloud Atlas, whose name I can never remember.
Really, he was in Cloud Atlas. I didn't recognize him.
He is.
I don't remember him.
Slave that on Tom Hanks's boat. I do. Oh no, he's the slave that Tom Hanks. Oh, how the fuck? Tom Hanks is poisoning the protagonist, and he's the slave that saved the protagonist from Tom Hanks poisoning him. I think he's only in that one story. But yeah, their whole affair, and you can tell that he wants more out of this relationship, and again, the feelings are there, but they're not there, and everybody's kind of in their own weird limbo. Jennifer Jason Leigh, who's a little too on the nose because her character's actually battling cancer, and things get definitely wonky at the very end.
Very much.
But yeah, it's amazing. I could watch a movie a million times.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. For some reason, it just didn't work for me. And I love Alex Garland.
Yeah, man. Ex Machina knows that business.
Ex Machina is phenomenal. Finding out that not only did he write Dredd, but he did some uncredited direction on it. I love Dredd so fucking much.
Yeah.
Wish I'd seen that in the theater.
It comes up in the sci-fi draft.
I was very excited to see Annihilation, and I mean the Skull Bear. That sequence is terrifying.
No, sir.
And the sequence with Tessa Thompson, the only time she takes off her jacket, the only time that she is comfortable enough showing off her scars is when it's at the end. And it's sort of this acceptance. There's some wonderful moments, and yet for some reason, despite my penchant for thoughtful cinema, for thoughtful really anything, it didn't work for me. And it's frustrating. It's actually really frustrating because all year long I've heard, I just can't get Annihilation out of my head, and I'm going, all right. Kind of the way that you looked at me when I mentioned I bought Venom. You were like, you bought that joint? Yeah, I bought Annihilation going, oh, I'm going to love this. Okay. Well, it's a movie I own now.
Terrible, sir.
No, and it's so frustrating because so many people love that movie.
Oh, yeah.
I wish I felt that way about it.
Yeah.
I do. I do.
I absolutely loved it. It is an amazing movie to me.
Bro.
Your number one, sir.
My number one is not going to be really a surprise because I've been talking about this movie on various podcasts. I've been talking about this movie online quite a bit. A film by Josephine Decker called Madeline's Madeline. It is my number one favorite film. I saw this in late July, I think, early August. It got a limited rollout. It hit a couple of theaters in North Carolina, a couple of theaters globally. I think it's available digitally. And it's theoretically getting a physical release, at which point I will be getting it. It is, you talk about philosophical, you talk about thought-provoking. This movie did it for me. Okay. It is a film about a young girl who, in case you don't remember, who struggles with some sort of psychological issue. She has a very loose grip on reality. We don't know what happened to her prior to this story, and we don't know what happens after.
Yeah.
But we just know that everything we are watching is possibly in her imagination.
Mm-hmm.
It's possibly in our imagination. Mm-hmm. It's a little hard to tell. Because the opening of the movie, you're sort of getting these watery sounds as if you are either coming out of a sleep in a drugged haze, or you're in the womb and you're hearing the water rushing. And a face appears as it's sort of hazy, and it appears from behind a curtain, dressed like a nurse, and it's sort of waking you up and letting you know that, what you're about to experience is not an experience. You're not actually a cat, and you're going, what the fuck is going on here? And it's about how this young woman, Madeline, she is caught between what's going on in her mind, her mother who wants to help her, and the interpretive dance coach that wants to use Madeline's imagination to create a show. And there certainly seems to be some issues from the mom where it's almost, if my daughter still has problems, I'm still needed, kind of. Maybe you can look at it that way, or maybe she's honestly trying to help her daughter and that is at her wit's end. Then you've got the coach that is either threatened by Madeline but also trying to use Madeline and desperate for ideas and what have you. And Helena Howard, who plays Madeline, is one of the best performances I've seen all year.
All right.
And this is, I believe, her first, so this would be a debut. This is the type of performance where now if I see that she's doing anything else, I don't care who's distributing it. I don't care if it's at, some hole-in-the-wall theater production. I want to go check it out just to see what she does next. And the fact that it's called Madeline's Madeline, think of it like a production, sort of like Steven Spielberg's Schindler's List or something that that regard, where the whole thing might be a production, even if it's just in her mind. And there's something about that for some reason, unlike, say, Annihilation, which asks similar questions of identity, of reality, of who we are and what makes us in the face of change that may be forced upon us, right? Like cancer. This has similar questions, but there's something in it that connected with me almost on a molecular level that I just haven't been able to shake.
All right.
So that's my number one.
So,
and we
are combined 10 movies. None of them are the Golden Globe nominees for Best Motion Picture.
None,
not a single one of them.
none. And we've definitely gone over on our time. So do you want to do a quick rundown of the films people might miss? Maybe not do as in-depth, but maybe just list them out and then give it a thanks for listening.
I got a little bit of overlap, too. My number 5, mid-90s. Finally caught this last night.
Nice.
And I didn't see enough people talking about it. I kind of tailored my list more to Pop Ricans, people who listen to this show.
Sure.
Of stuff they might have missed. Check out mid-90s Jonah Hill. It embodies, it oozes 90s without being 90s, 90s, this is 90s. The music choices were excellent. The story itself is solid enough that you could put it in damn near any decade and it still works. He just chose to put it in the mid-90s.
Cool.
Happy Time Murders, number 4. Happy Time Murders. I fucking had a blast with this movie. And I don't think enough people gave it a chance after the critics kind of bashed it.
I agree.
It's absolutely absurd and ridiculous, but it's still kind of a decent hard-boiled detective story.
Yeah.
At its end.
Really clever, too.
Really cleverly done. It's a nice balance of immaturity, which they kind of get it all out the way at the beginning, the first act, and then it kind of settles into what it actually is after that.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it. 3, American Animals. Definitely not enough people saw it. 2, 8th Grade. Bo Burnham's directorial debut, Elsie Fisher. We'll see more of what Bo Burnham directs and what Elsie Fisher acts in. Wonderfully awkward and uncomfortable at times, just like we were in 8th grade. Just like a lot of grown-ass people are now. 8th Grade was amazing. Number 1, Annihilation. Not enough people saw it.
That is a film that definitely didn't get enough love.
2 weeks after Black Panther, man. Black Panther
really?
destroyed the box office, and nobody went and saw it because everyone was seeing Black Panther over and over. Everybody was just talking about Black Panther. All Annihilation talk was just swept under the rug thanks to Black Panther.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Film Twitter's still talking about Annihilation, if that helps.
It does. I adore my people on Film Twitter. They give Annihilation love.
Right on.
What do you 5 cents?
Mine was just movies that I loved that, whether Pop Ricans would enjoy them or not, they should check them out. Batman Ninja.
Okay.
I fucking love Batman Ninja. I am upset that the first time I watched it was with the American voices because I didn't realize I went into the languages and there wasn't one for the original Japanese language. It turns out it's under special features, which I think it was Prez Rick who pointed that out to me. Thank you for pointing that out, because that is the way you should watch this, is in its original language. Because when they made it and then translated it into American English, the story is a little different because the Japanese version is very loose. It's a little bit more interpretive.
Yeah.
They have a basic structure, but it's not, the dialogue is very different. And you can tell when you watch the American version. Yeah. You can feel it. Plus, Tony Hale, as much as I enjoy him and other stuff, doesn't make for a great... I didn't buy him as Joker in this. It's a weird Joker voice, but when you watch it in the original Japanese and you got the dialogue, it's so wonderful. And it's so full in. It is the view of Batman from the Japanese. It is not us pretending to do anime. It is anime, and it culminates in one of the just strangest fucked up action sequences I've seen in animation all year long.
Okay.
And I love Spider-Verse. So that should say something.
Shout out to Prez Rick, man, the once and future king.
There you go. Number 4, Hearts Beat Loud by Brett Halley. Music by Keegan DeWitt. It's a lovely love story, but it's about family. Mm-hmm. And it focuses on a father-daughter and what's going on with them and the big transitions that they're dealing with in their life. And one of the things that, Love, Simon got a lot of attention this past year. Great film by Greg Berlanti, adapted from the book.
Yeah.
But what was great about Hearts Beat Loud is it has...
we're skipping through these quickly.
No. But Hearts Beat Loud has this wonderful LGBTQ.
Yep.
I always forget. Love story in there, but it's not about that. It's just in there, like life, and I highly recommend that. Summer of 3 by director Becca Gleason. I think it was her directorial debut.
Word.
So wonderful film. It's a female coming of age story. It is hilarious, and it's dirty, and it's ugly, and it's normal, and it has a phenomenal cast. You guys should check that out. Ghost Stories, which was released by IFC Midnight, directed by Jeremy Dyson and Andy Nyman. It's got Martin Freeman and a few other folks that people would recognize in it. It's a phenomenal anthology that as soon as you're done watching it, you want to rewatch it to see all the shit you missed, because it was originally a stage production and they use those elements in the storytelling. So it sort of screws with you. And you go into it knowing, okay, this movie's going to screw with me, and then you don't realize you've been screwed with while you knew, because it knew.
That you knew.
So highly recommend that. And then, of course, if you missed it, because a lot of people did, it came out late in November, Anna and the Apocalypse.
Oh, yeah.
Directed by John McPhail, I think it, or Fail. The music is phenomenal. Hearts Beat Loud is another musical. Highly recommend that one. The songs for Hearts Beat Loud stuck with me. And in the Apocalypse, I left that film and just had a bunch of the songs rolling through my brain. It's a phenomenal mix of music, comedy, drama, and, of course, a zombie story, which has quite a few surprises. So all 5 of those, highly recommend.
Boom. I think that's it, sir.
It should be, because we are over time. Hope you had an extended commute. Or not, actually. I don't wish that on anybody.
I hope you had a good time washing your dishes and doing laundry.
There you go.
That's it. Well, it's a good way to start off 2019, I think.
Yeah. Next time, we're probably going to be talking about Oscar predictions. Yeah. Maybe even going to bring back the Cinnamon Challenge as we do stuff. And I know of at least 2 movies now that you haven't seen that we now need to rectify.
All right.
So thanks everybody for listening. I'm looking forward to 2019. We've still got some great movies coming, not just the big stuff, but there's a bunch of little stuff coming too.
Boom. All right, then you guys take it easy, and we will see you next time we see you.
Later.